Hello and welcome to Plugin Along, a stream dedicated to LOTRO plugins. Last time on Plugin Along, we continued working on the Festival Buddy plugin by updating the list of Spring Festival barter items, since it had been a couple of years since we'd done that update. And today we're going to show off a new Spring Festival quick guide that I've been working on and other additions for the Spring Festival. And then we're going to finish translating it into French and German and hopefully release it so that everyone else can use it while the Spring Festival is still ongoing. So let's go ahead and pull this up. I'm going to go over to System Plugin Managers, and we can see here Festival Buddy. At some point, I should remember to update that version number. But for right now, what do we have? We have a Spring Festival. Now, if you're not familiar with Festival Buddy, Festival Buddy is hopefully going to help you with your festival experience. One of the things it has is a list of quests and hopefully some information or some assistance on what's going on with that quest. So for instance, with well-watered blooms, we can see here that you need to pick up the bucket. You need to you need to pick up the quest. Go get the bucket. Go back to location 1 to water those things. Get the bucket. Location 3, bucket. Location 4, bucket. Location 5, bucket. Location 6. So if you don't have a good sense of where those different locations are in Clegur, hopefully this heads-up map will give you a little bit of a hint about that. We can take another example. Springtime's colors. So we can see where we pick up the quest over at the mayor. We can see where the Daffodil Days banners are right next to the mayor, and some of the locations for Daffodil Days banners. Now, one of the problems with the location of daffodils and the pots and the Daffodil Days banner locations is that they seem to be semi-random which ones are available to use at any given moment. I haven't gotten a real sense about it yet, but it definitely feels time-based, where sometimes there's a place for a banner next to the mayor and other times not. I'm not sure if it's a day-night cycle thing, every hour, what. I haven't sorted that out yet. If anyone has any thoughts, I'd love to hear them. But, so a map like this is kind of inherently incomplete because those were the locations when I was making the map, but that's not necessarily all of them, and you may not see some of them. But that's okay. The route we're going to take on the quick guide is going to get us an easy 4 to 5 banner locations, and then the last one's just going to fill in as we are running around. So no problems there. Okay, so what else are we looking at? Oh yeah, Bee's Big Business. If you get lost doing Bee's Big Business, I've gone ahead and incorporated in a map from the wiki that I had posted, I don't know, years ago. I've kind of squeezed it down so it fits in this little form factor. Unfortunately, these little maps don't currently respect the /LOC command and show you where you are on them, although that isn't a thought for a future improvement. But it does show you where you start and finish and how you get to the banners 1, 2, and 3, and where the 2 encounters are relative to those paths. So hopefully if the bees go off and you can't find them, this might help you figure out where they're supposed to be. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the quick guide. In fact, let's go ahead and do the quick guide on this character as an example. Now, I've been playing around with different characters, so I'm just going to hit the reset button. Oh, I've scrolled it down below my face. Okay, I'm going to hit the reset button at the bottom. And also, let's go ahead and call out what's... Well, that's a funny thing. Did I paste that in the wrong file? Let's go take a look and figure out why I'm getting German here. Oh yeah, I am getting German in the wrong file. Well, that's a shame. I may not actually have the English anymore. I'll have to recreate it. Okay, so French went into the German, but the French also went into the French. If I come into the English, can I undo anything here? There are other changes here that I do. Okay, let's go ahead and copy that selected text, come back in here, and paste. Okay, okay. So what we're going to do is do /plugins space unload space and Festival Buddy, all one word, and then /plugins space /load. And then in quotes, Festival space Buddy space II for 2. Okay, so we have it back. Um, so, what was I trying to read before I found German? Okay, so this is just a little acknowledgement. This was created by me at now. Cool. Okay, so one thing I noticed while I was writing up this quick guide is that a couple of the quests, and especially Flower Envy, when you make some sort of a progress on that quest, there's no indication in the quest channel that you did anything. As opposed to if you pick up a daffodil, it's going to say you picked up one out of however many, 8 daffodils. Good job. 12? No, just 8. Okay. So, you planted a banner. Good job. But for Flower Envy, you need to talk to 1, 2, several people. 3, 4, 3, interact with 3 or 4 different targets. And there's no quest continuation. So you got to talk to Wedeluth over there, and then you have to go talk to what's his nut in the fields, and then you got to go talk to the mayor, and then you got to go plant the banner, and then back to them in the field, and then finally back to Wendelth, and finally the single quest channel acknowledgement that you've done anything is picking up the precious bulb, and of course turning in the quest to Nafa. So that one specifically, I've worked up a new system whereby it's tracking who you are targeting, and if you target a person on for Flower Envy or a couple other ones in here, one of the lamb stacks also doesn't give you that. So if you target these things, we will say good enough. We assume you're about to go talk to them, but that does mean if you're a person who just presses Shift F10 to go through all the NPCs near you, you're going to be prematurely marking these off because of that. In fact, let's take a look at that. So we can see Flower Envy, take that from Nafa, and then talk to Wedeluth. So if I click on Wedeluth, oh, I've completed that objective. Now, have I completed that objective? I don't think so. So I'm going to hit the reset button. But unfortunately, reset doesn't interact with that target list at the moment. So that is a thing to note in my to-do list. Quick guide. Reset button and save load do not take the new target system into account. Sad face. So that's a thing, but it's not a blocker for this. It's better than nothing. Okay, so that was just a thought that I wanted to mention. That's one of those things when you're writing up a quick guide, because we don't have a Lua entry point into the quest log, we can't know when a quest status is updated, but we can see any output in the quest channel, and most of the quests do give us that kind of output, or we can see who we're targeting, but we can't tell that we have actually talked to them without that quest channel text. Okay, so let's go ahead and don't know if we need that yet. Okay, let's go ahead and start this up. Now, if you do not already have Taste of Spring, then you'll want to go ahead and pick it up from Rumdamer Hirtul or from Sergeant Tom over in the other place. This is the very Clegur-oriented quick guide. So turns out I already have Taste of Spring, probably picked it up yesterday. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that one off. So this really starts with Daffodil Days over at Athra. So what I'm going to do, if you want more explanation about what these quests are or a little bit slower approach, I encourage you to check out Little Redhead's stream if you weren't there just before mine. She had a very calm pace. I'm going to do this as frantically as I can and see how fast I can knock it out. So that's what's up with that. So we're going to go ahead and pick up, wrong order, Daffodil Days, Gift of Spring, then across the road for promoting Pie, coming over and turn into the Visiting Hobbit. Grab this daffodil, and while you're doing that, talk to the Lutenist, so you can pick up that quest, and then come along to behind the stable, and we're going to go ahead and pick up the 2 daffodils back here. We are going to talk to Nafa after we talk to the mayor, so don't worry about this daffodil here, but we do want to go ahead and grab these. Our goal is to finish off all 8 daffodils by the time we're picking up the family feast, or whatever it's called, over on the west end of town. So that's what we're doing, but we're going to go ahead and talk to the mayor. We're going to go ahead and grab the fiddle, talk to the hobbit, grab the daffodil, mount back up, and get out of here. Awesome. Not mount back up. Of course, we have to go get the Daffodil Days banners. That's another one where there's no quest channel continuation for that, so we just assume you've clicked on the thing, so you picked up the stuff. All right, so we got the place for the banner at the top instead of down here at the bottom. We're going to talk to Nafa, grab that, and come on over to Welduth. I do not have a good grasp on her name. Cool. So we only have one more daffodil left that we need. So on our way up, we're going to go ahead and grab that banner, this daffodil, and then talk to Rosenthal. Cool. Don't do call to sup, although you could just do it once and then it will never show up again. But do get the planter next to her, and then drop down onto the smile below, or hole, house, whatever, for this planter. We're going to go ahead and get the Bodran on the way. And we're aiming to go into the butcher shop. Okay, a couple things to progress here. We're going to get Family Feast. We're going to get Stretch Too Thin. Weekly Orders is, again, a low-level local questing stuff, so don't worry about that. But, again, once you complete it once, it should stop bothering you, unless it's repeatable. Well, I don't know. That thing, the name of that does make me wonder. I've only done this area on my main, which completionist, which this is not. So I go ahead and get that hobbit now. Little Redhead likes doing it while she is watering the spot next to the beehives. I don't think it matters too much either way, timing-wise. So whatever feels better for you. Make sure you get the planter behind Larry and also the visiting hobbit here. And then if you want, you can mount up. I don't think it really saves you that much time. And then, yeah, keep an eye out for a line that may have been forming here. You don't want to cut in line unless you want people to think poorly of you. But do go ahead and skip this fence here unless you're really good about jumping over fences uphill. It's just not worth it. 9 times out of 10, I slam right into the fence. Okay. Mr. Rosh says, is this like Rested XP for WoW? Unfortunately, I don't know what Rested XP for WoW does for WoW. But we are doing plugin development here for Lord of the Rings Online. They're called plugins here instead of add-ons, but same basic idea, same language as well, Lua, which is a very friendly scripting language. All right, so we're doing the third watering. This is going to be next to the stable master. On the way back, or on the way there, we're going to be keeping an eye out. Half the time, there's a good place for a banner on the road here between Stable Master and there. There's also a planter over here on the side of the road. We want to go ahead and touch base with both of those on the way back. Oh, a level guide, basically. Oh, nice. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So this is targeting specifically the Spring Festival. There's a lot of stuff to do in Clegur here for these 8 quests, and this is designed to just give me a list of objectives and to keep track of which ones I did, regardless of whether I do them in the order specified or not. Kind of. There's a problem with how we get the information about the quest progressions. That means that we'll be tracking something, but we don't actually know which of the 5 hobbits you have given a flyer to, for instance. So it is assuming, as we check off those 5 hobbits, that you did them in the order specified in the guide. But it will mark off a hobbit regardless of which one you talk to, so that's good. Yeah, so that's the idea. So it's not an overall thing for the whole game or anything like that, but Festival Buddy is specifically about festivals, and a lot of people, because this only comes around once a year, maybe take a little while to remember the routes that they like to do for a festival. And so the quick guides are just really for me to remember what I'm doing in a festival, and I hope they help other people as well. All right, so we're going to go ahead and mount up. We're going to do our one and only trip to the east side of town here, down by the docks. And we're going to start with Drudvin, because we don't have to dismount. And then if we can make the jump across here, awesome, we'll do that. But if we end up in the water below, it's totally fine, because we can reach both the planter and the flute from down there. Make sure you jump over this flower bed, though, on the way out. It will catch you if you are unawares. Okay, so the next thing is we have a stuff to do up at the oven but we also need to water the daffodils up by the oven. So instead of going straight to the oven, I'm going to go grab one last water bucket, then run around up to the oven so we can go ahead and talk to Gloron for 3 different quests at this point. Okay, so we have the bucket. We want to go up there. If you're good jumping fences, you can jump both of these, but the first fence is very short to run around if you have to. The second one, I'm not sure where the gap is, but fortunately it's a pretty level crossing. Now, Little Redhead was saying that she has difficulty jumping over when it's an uphill fence, but at the bottom of this little farm area, I find it very jumpable without having to worry too much about it. So I'll do it down there just so I can do a more straight line to get up here. Okay, so we're progressing all 3 of these quests. Grab those carrots and potatoes. Yeah, Delirium's calling out a difference between the blue bar, the rested experience that you get in World of Warcraft and Lord of the Rings Online. In my experience, which is more than a decade out of date, you automatically get rested accumulation while in real time while you are logged out at an inn or other safe space, up to a certain percentage of your bar, like 30% or something. In Lord of the Rings Online, it is a side effect of having a subscription. Being a subscriber to Lord of the Rings Online, and then it just happens automatically. You get the whole thing at 3 a.m. server time instead of building it up real time. Now, I could, of course, be wrong about how it currently works because, at a guess, I was last playing in, I don't know, before 2010, I believe. Okay, we want to go ahead and go back up to the mare, so we're going to mount up and ride up this hill. Yeah, Mr. Rush is talking about a plugin of that name, but it is an interesting difference between how I understood Rest experience to work in World of Warcraft. I'm curious if it's still that way, and how it works in Lord of the Rings Online. Same basic idea, just different delivery mechanism. So if you're online at 2:59 in the morning, suddenly you just are awarded the whole chunk right there. All right, so we placed that banner. We're going to come talk to Gloron for the last bit here. So go ahead and mount up. And then we can see we want to turn in the well-watered blooms. We can just drop down here so that we don't have to duck back here later. If you hop down the multi-tier levels of her house, you won't take any falling damage. So try to aim well there. Now, Melda is up here. So we're going to go ahead and turn in both of these. Grab that prize bulb. I'm of 2 minds about this, but I think it makes the most sense to come back to Nafa and then go ahead and do the rest of the turn-ins. Because at this point, we've completed all the objectives. We're only turning quests in. So we're going to come on up to Rose here. Turn that in. Then we'll go down to the butcher shop. And then the last 3 are at our starting point. 2 on one side, 1 on the other side of the road there. And we can see we are just coming up to the 9-minute mark on our timer. I feel like I am going a little bit slower because I'm talking about it than if I'm just fully focused on it. But I think it's pretty reasonable to complete all of this in less than 10 minutes. And you know, add the time it takes to switch characters, and you can basically run 5 to 6 of these in an hour. Okay, so I'm going to toss this extra pie into my shared storage. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I already have 75 set aside. Didn't go. I already have 75 of them set aside for my completionist character, which is enough to complete the deed for consuming them. If you are looking for that, remember these are not bound at all, and if you have multiple characters, it's super easy to just do the promoting pies quest on one character, log out, next character, just assembly line it. I've got 22 characters on the server, so it took me 3.5 days worth of doing that, maybe an hour each day. Just quest, consolidate in shared storage, and now my completionist is 75, and I've got 2 extra. Cool. Neat. So that is using this quick guide. Oh, I forgot to turn off the escape key closing things option. Okay, so that's the quick guide that I have written up for the Clegur part of the Spring Festival. Now, there's obviously lots of other Spring Festival quests, but I felt like this was such a new area and such a concentrated dose of things that you can do without having to go like more than 50 meters away from a center point, it feels like. I don't know. How far away are things? Oh, hard to tell. Just tell me how far you went. Never mind. I'm knocking it out. Okay. There we go. Okay, that's 50 meters. Okay, without having to go more than 200 meters from your starting point. So I think that's why I really wanted to. And also, I was having trouble really internalizing what it was to do things here until I actually sat down and wrote out every single objective and how can we detect them. And after that, I felt like I really had a grasp on what's going on with this new area. I feel like I understand it a lot better now. So that is that. So under the covers, we do a lot of string matching in order to see our quest progression. In fact, can I see? Yeah, okay. Let's go ahead and pull this out. So this has standard, but it also has quest, it looks like. Yes, it does. So we can see everything, really. We can see new quest, Daffodil Days Daily. So this is a very predictable text in the English client. New space, quest, colon space, the gift of spring. Awesome. So we can parse this and say, oh, okay, it began with this, and therefore this is the name of a thing. Or we can go one step further and say, whenever we see this, it means this other thing. And so we also have progressions. We can see we've handed out 1, 2, 3, or 5 flyers, but we can't see to which hobbit we've handed them out to. We can see we've picked 8 daffodils. Now, daffodils are fungible, so I don't care which ones we've picked up, but it would be neat if it had been done the specified, like, you handed a flyer to the Hobbit by the Butcher. I can understand why they didn't do that, but I wish they had. So we got a bunch of daffodils there. The fiddle has been found. There's a distinct message for each musical instrument, so we can track exactly which one you found. Awesome. We can see how many banners you've placed. Again, we can't see where, but banner placements are fungible, so it doesn't matter. And then the bodhran's been found. Awesome. Lamb meat collected. Now notice we picked up 2 piles of lamb meat. Why not? Tasty stuff, I'm sure. But there's only a quest message for one of them. So whoever put these quests in place, it feels like, for whatever reason, some of them are very explicit about what quest progression you've done, and some of them are not. Maybe there were multiple people working on them. Maybe they ran out of time. Who can say? I don't have any insider knowledge on that. But I do know that the new targeting system knows when you're talking to the one pile of meat where there's no quest objective. So if you pick up the one that has lamb meat collected, we know that. We can see that you did it. And if you at least talk to the other pile or target the other pile, we know you did that, and so we mark that as complete. Cool. New quest, well water blooms. Water bucket found, that's fine. Notice that we get identical messages for each of the 5 locations that we water, but the locations are spelled out in a very specific order by the quest giver, or by the quest itself. You cannot water these in an incorrect order. So we know watered exclamation point number 3 is the patch by the stable master. It has to be. That's how the quest works. It's very linear as opposed to planting the daffodils. You could be anywhere. Anything else interesting in this? Carrots collected, potatoes collected. Notice that we didn't see anything about having talked to what's-his-nut in the field, but we do see that we talked to the carrots and potatoes. So we can at least notice that you targeted in order to progress that quest, and then you're also getting the carrots and the potatoes. Awesome. And then we start completing things. Notice that the completion text for quests in LOTRO has a new line character in all 3 languages. So you are not looking for completed : the musician's misfortune. You are looking for completed : new line, the musician's misfortune. In fact, let me pull that specifically up here in these quests. So you're looking for completed new line, a taste of spring new line. There's 2 different new lines in here. Which is not terrible if you're trying to parse out the name of that quest. In this case, I'm just looking for the whole string. But notice that without doing any sort of string manipulation to trim new lines from the end or whatever, we are looking for completed new line, Well-Watered Blooms new line, even though when you're looking at new quest, Well-Watered Blooms, you are not. There's no new lines in those in the string that the plugin gets. So watch out for that discrepancy. It's bitten me multiple times in the past where I've just expected completed a taste of spring. That's not what we're getting. So watch out for that. And then, yeah, then we're just completing these things. So we know whenever we've completed a quest, a plugin can easily detect that. Only problem with that is if multiple quests have the same name, or the same name as a deed, or multiple deeds have the same name. Deeds and quests have the same underlying channel for textual interaction with the user, like this. And so for Festival Buddy, that's usually no problem because we have a very small collection of quests that we're concerned with. And you know what? Springtime's Colors, if there's one of those somewhere else in the game and you complete it while you've got Festival Buddy running, your quick guide is just going to be a little desynced for the day. Well-Watered Blooms, all of that. But in general, that's not a concern. And every quest here in Clegur has a distinct name, so we know exactly which quest you have picked up or dropped off. Awesome. So that's some of the thoughts I was looking at while I was doing this. But as we see, it's all very heavily textual comparison based. We got a thing called packages delivered 1 out of 6. Great. What's the German for that? What's the French for that? That's what we're going to be working on for the next umpteen minutes. If we're able to finish that, we're going to go ahead and push out this on stream. If not, that'll be either after stream or in the morning, depending on what else my real life schedule has. But that's setting us up for the rest of the stream. Once we have the French and German versions working, if we have time for it, I'm going to log out and then log back in. You know what? I should probably start patching for the French and German clients. We're going to log out, log in with a different character with a different client language, and make sure that all of the objectives do properly mark themselves off as we're working our way through the list. I don't think it's going to let me patch while I'm running. I meant to do that earlier. I had a thought about it, and I was not at home when I had that thought, and I did not write it down. I think I was bicycling back from a horn lesson. Oh well. Okay, so how's this work? We have 2 main structures for these quick guides, and one of these days I really want to rewrite how this is done so it's not stored in lua files, but instead in .plugin data files, so it's changeable by users more flexibly, or a user could create their own. Just make a little plugin that its whole goal is to create these quick guides. It's on my list of things to do, but it's not happening before this festival is over. So, that is so weird. Okay, so we have 2 files. We have the quick guide strings _spring. And this is generic stuff. There's no language specific stuff in here. So what we're doing is we're creating the ordering of this quick guide and giving a internal key for that quest objective. In this case, and this is just a convention I have, any objective that is related to a, let's do one where we can see them more often. Anything that's related to promoting Pi quest, the pickup, flyer 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the end or drop off. These are all self-created. There's nothing judging our naming system here. But in order for me to be able to look at it and know what's going on, I just preface everything with the name of the quest and then what is the objective? Are we picking up or dropping off, ending the quest? Or is it some intermediary objective? Now, a couple of these, it's just pick up and drop off. Daffodil Days Daily, you pick it up, you drop it off, done. Because there's nothing useful about tracking, like, you completed one of the quests, yay! Like, that's the whole point, is to complete the quest. So I don't have anything else in there, just reminders to get it and then reminder to turn it in. Whereas promoting Pi, we want to go ahead and have objectives for each one of these so that in the quick guide, I'm going to go ahead and reset it, we can say promoting Pi, give flyer to visiting hobbit near musicians. So this is a custom text for the underlying promoting pie flyer 1 objective that we have, this discrete thing that we want to talk about. So this is all non-language specific. This is just structures that allow us to look up how these different things are related to each other. So we can say, if we want to know about the promoting pie quest, that is, if we just turned the quest in, which of the objectives do we mark complete if they aren't already? For whatever reason, we didn't detect them, they were manually unchecked, whatever. So that's the complete list of things related to promoting pie. Awesome. Alternatively, if we have just done a thing, we want to know which quest does this go with. So if we just completed promoting pie flyer 1 or 2, we know that that goes with promoting pie. Now, it would be possible to do this in a more automated manner, potentially, but it's each individual quick guide is small enough that it's not that big a deal for me to just copy paste some of that stuff. We do have entries, and I keep thinking I need to make it so that missing entries are okay, but we have an entry that allows us to specify interesting things about this quest objective. Does it begin a quest, a chain of objectives related to a specific quest? Does it end them? In which case, should we go back and mark them all complete if they're not already? Should it start the festival timer? Should it stop the festival timer once it's turned in? That's true for the Daffodil Days daily wrapper. And if you didn't see it, that's this little timer in the upper right here. And it just, when you take the one quest that's marked yes, and it's usually the daily wrapper, then the timer starts. And when you turn in the corresponding endpoint, the timer stops. And that's just so I can get a sense of how long is this taking me. And that's why I know that Clegur takes me, give or take, about 9 minutes. Really heavily dependent on how crowded the line is for the water buckets. Everything else is pretty much on rails, start to finish, no problem. Water buckets can take you from a fast run to a slow run real quickly. I wish that water buckets appeared per character and not as a global thing where everyone on your layer sees the same 0, 1, or 2 buckets that are available. I think it'd be a little bit more alt friendly, like running just over and over and over, if you didn't have to depend on that. But as it is a little heartening to see that people are generally pretty good about forming a queue, and the water bucket's taken and everyone kind of takes a couple steps forward to get closer, the next one's taken, everyone moves. Like, that's nice. It's nice to see that level of cooperation. I don't mind that. I just, when I get there and I see 8 people in front of me, I'm just like, oh, there goes my 9-minute mark there. It's going to be closer to 10 minutes. Nah, so it is. Any other things? If we have a quest like picking daffodils that is incremented 1 out of 8, 2 out of 8, 3 out of 8, this is telling us how many we're expecting, and we can update the display to show that. Safudu says they might have a suggestion. Is it possible for Festival D2 to have an announcement notification that's always visible that says how many days it takes to complete the final wrapper and show how many days left you have to do it for each character? The number of days it takes to complete a wrapper is fixed for each festival, but not always the same, I think. I think some of them, it tends to be around 12 to 15 days, I think, but I don't think it's always 12 days. I'd be prepared to be proven wrong about that, but I feel like anniversary or something, midsummer, isn't, there's differences. So, but that's super easy. Go to the wiki, see what it is for every festival, make a table in Lua, done. How many days it would take to complete the festival wrappers? That part is straightforward. How many days left do you have to do it for each character? As long as Festival Buddy is running, it can see when you turn in the wrapper quest. And that's, so for now, there's the Daffodil Days Weekly, which I think is not the one you're talking about. I suspect the one you're talking about is the Splendor of Spring, which gives the golden tracery token, which I do covet, but will not get in on any of my characters this festival because there's just been too much else to do. So yeah, because this needs you to complete a Bustling Bloom intro and then intermediate and advanced and final, we can definitely keep track of that, and we can keep track of how many times you've just completed a Taste of Spring. Now I am curious, what does it look like? Let's see. Does this character have any travel skills? Let's find out. Take me to Bree. Oh, sure. Nice. So we're going to go see what it looks like when we complete A Taste of Spring. I think Little Redhead is thinking, or said, I just completed A Taste of Spring 2 out of 4. That is a quest progression of the wrapper that they're currently working on. In this case, I would be working on a Bustling Bloom intro. So we can see I've completed 1 out of 4. So the next one should be 2 out of 4. But then, oh, I forgot to set my milestone. Hellas, what's on so that's going to be based off of whatever quest requires you to complete A Taste of Spring. So we'll know that you completed A Taste of Spring, and we should see your progression of the next one. And if Festival has been on for your character all of these times, it would know how many times you've completed A Taste of Spring. But it can also recalibrate when you complete one of the wrappers, a Bustling Bloom intro, or whatever comes after that. LOTRO Bustling Bloom. I'm going to go ahead and pull that up on my other screen here a moment. And this is for Slender Spring? Yeah. Okay, so, it's just intro, intermediate, and final. So 4 for each of those 3 gives you 12 for the final. So if you complete a Bustling Bloom intro, we know you just completed 4. If you complete a Bustling Bloom intermediate, we know you just completed 8. And a Bustling Bloom final, definitionally you've just finished the Splendor of Spring, so it takes you 0 days at that point. So this is not impossible. I think your idea of having an announcement notification that's always visible, I'd be a little concerned about that, but I think it would be definitely possible to put it as the general, what do you see in a festival when you haven't selected anything else? Like, you come into the Gift of Spring, and then you click X, and then what is in this background up here? And I think that'd be a fine thing to have there. I'd be a little bit concerned about plastering it onto the screen, at least not without some option to turn that off, because I don't think I would enjoy that. But let me go ahead and make a note, because I think that's a really cool idea. Main window idea from Snuffido. Track how many of the daily wrappers, example given, I know that's not what it is, but helps me remember the difference between EG and IE. Taste of Spring, Taste of Spring. This each character has completed, and show a knowing how many days left in the festival is harder because that changes, or the start and stop dates change from year to year. But one could guesstimate like 21 days or whatever, and show how many more days it will take to complete. B. Allow user to set start and stop dates for a festival in options. Then show how many more days in the festival.
We don't need double for days for festival, do we? I don't care how many days are in festival, I care how many days my character has left.
Sure, fair. So A, how many more days will it take to complete? B, how many days total? So, example, 4 out of 12 wrappers completed for whatever it is. The Splendor of Spring. I think this would be an optional extra. Optional extra. Allow user to set start and stop, and then we can also say 4 out of 12. Wrappers completed for Splendor of Spring. 6 days remaining. And then you're like, oh, I can't do that. Or it's 16 days remaining. It's like plenty of time. Little Redhead was saying that she doesn't care how many days of the festival are left. I care about how many days of wrapper I have left. I think that is fair, but I think it is useful information to know, oh, I'm cutting it down. I have 4 more of these to complete, and I have 4 days left. I need to set a reminder or whatever to get in here every day. Otherwise, I'm going to be sad. Also, I think it'd be useful. Another extra call out if the festival wrapper rewards turquoise, or is it? I guess it's cyan or gold tracery tokens. The festivals that do cyan, I guess it's cyan. The tracer tokens that are like the 60 instead of the 80 when you disenchant them. The festival wrappers that reward the 60s are fine and all, but if they're rewarding an 80 token, a gold tracer token just sounds very exciting for my characters who will hit a level someday and really want to deck themselves out with all gold. Okay, cool. So that's a great idea. Definitely not going to happen today, but I don't think that is a bad suggestion at all. I think it's going to take a little bit of doing to think through and make sure that we're properly tracking the completion of these things and using the completion of the wrappers as an override of our overall progress. But as long as we're doing that, I think it's a very reasonable thing. We're already looking at the quest completion channel, so this would just be one more thing. We're already saving a lot of information about a festival. Might as well be how many days does it take to complete this? So I think this is a very doable thing for a future improvement for Festival Buddy. Maybe anniversary. We'll see. So thank you, Snifudu. Neat. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and come take a look at what else we have here. Not that. Yeah, there we go. So we were looking at all the generic stuff, and then on the other side of things, we have language-specific things. So we have this internal string of promoting Pi Flyer 1. What is that? We have a loosely association that this is part of promoting Pi. Promoting Pi has this as part of it. What does that mean? And so first of all, we have what should we display in the quick list. This can be free-form text. This is whatever we want. In this case, this is a modification based on the quest objective called Give Flyer to Visiting Hobbits, 1 out of N. But I wanted to call out which one we're talking about. And so we're going to have to do some translation of the extra stuff here. We have names of NPCs. Those can be different. And we're going to need to know how to do prepositions in German and French. I hear it's super easy to pick both of those up, no problem. But we'll have at least give visiting Flyer to Visiting Hobbit. We can pull that out of the game text, so we'll know what the game thinks that is in German and French. And then some of these are just the names of quests, the names of NPCs, or objectives that come straight out of the quest text. And so for those, it should be pretty straightforward. And that's what I want to do. So we are in the English file right now. The German file has been done up to this point, and the French as well. And we still have this much to do. After that, we have a couple of specific things. Those objectives where we're seeing incremental progress, daffodils picked, daffodils planted, banners placed, where we need the string that we should expect to see in the quest completion in that language. What does it look like when we pick the quest up? What does it look like when the quest is completed? Now, you may notice a lot of these could be calculated from the name of the quest and the language. We don't have to spell the string out. But building up the table here means that we can just say, we got a thing in chat. Is it in this table? And I don't know if that's actually faster, but the code to write it, super easy. So the maintainability is definitely up there on that one. We also have the things that end the objective. So daffodils picked 8 of 8. That is the end of doing daffodils. Water buckets found. We have a new thing here where watered is the first objective that is the same text for multiple things. So introduce a new feature for this spring festival, which is, okay, it's not just one objective, it's n objectives. And we'll just incrementally go through them as you are completing them. And then finally, the other new feature in this. Sorry. Something in my throat. And we also have a list of targets that we're going to be looking at for the quests where we don't have that quest text output into quest channels. So talking to Weldish Lush, we don't know that you talked to him, but we do know that you clicked on him. And we're just going to go through here one until we find one. So Weldith Lush and, in fact, Lauren Megamrud both appear in here twice. And so the first time you click on Weldith Lush, we'll mark that one off. The second time you click on them, we'll mark off the other one. And this is why I was mentioning before, if you're randomly clicking various NPCs, you may very well cause these to autocomplete ahead of time, because we're using target changing as a proxy for doing the thing associated with that target. So these are the names of things you can target in the game, and we need to know what those are called in the other languages. Okay, so that's everything we're going to be looking at today. So, what did I do? Yeah, okay. So we're going to go ahead and pick back up in the German. And so, give flyer to visiting Hobbit. The one other thing we're going to do is open up our quest strings file, because flyers. This has the actual string that we can expect to find in the data files, and that's going to be helping us here. Oops. Yeah. And when that doesn't work, we're going to go ahead and do a search. Give flyers to visiting hobbits. Okay, so we can see in the data file, it is has a current and a maximum. That's fine. So we're going to have to figure out how that works. So first of all, flyers handed out. Okay. So it doesn't have anything to do with that. Cool. So we have give flyers to visiting hobbits. That's a terrible place to document that. Let's do it over here. We need to find that string in each of the languages. So let's grab that ID. And we can see here in the German, it is this value. So let's go ahead and save that. And we can see in the French, it is this value. Now, this is not quite what we want, but it's really close. So first thing is we don't actually care about that. We're going to kill that. Second thing is we're going to admire the fact that the German one ends in a period and the English and the French don't. I think that's fascinating, and that's not wrong necessarily, but it is an interesting discrepancy between some of these languages. So what we want is we have give flyers to visiting hobbits. And what we want to do is convert that into give flyer to visiting hobbit, and then add a preposition near in the appropriate language, and near what. And as a starting point, I do not mind using a tool like Google Translate as a first approximation. So we're going to say give flyers to visiting hobbits. And I'm curious what that looks like if Google gives me a translation. So we can see Verteilen as as opposed to verteilt. So Google's decided that's a plural. Okay. It's so if I convert this a little bit, we're not going to use the she, but we can see verteilt. We can see Flugblätter on Habitkaste. Okay. So we can assume that Habitkaste is a plural here because of previous interaction. So if we remove... Oh, I'm disappointed. How do we do singular of guests? Okay, let's go ahead and do guest and guests. Ah, the A umlaut is getting me. So we want to go ahead and do gast instead of the other. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at this now. Distribute leaflets to Hobbit guest. Great. So taking what we took before, we're going to do something similar. We now have distribute leaflet. So that should be on Hobbit guest. Distribute leaflet to Hobbit guest. That we're really close to what we want it to be. Because currently it is a give flyer to visiting Hobbit. And then we need near musician. Okay, so near musicians. In the neighborhood of musicians. Okay. What? Hey. I know you just came in. You're very vocal. Okay, so if we have in the neighborhood of the musicians, that seems fine. What if I did next to the musicians? Neben the musician. It's fine. Near is great. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do that, where so, based on my very primitive knowledge of German, distribute... Hang on. Okay, distribute leaflets to Hobbit guests near musicians. Great. Now, I don't know why it's doing the distributes. She distributes. Verteilt. I think we're close enough. Cool. So we have a basic form here of how we're going to do this translation for the display text. And that is this. Oops. So. And I think we want to have the same idea for near the mayor. But we're going to double check. Mr. Ed. I need to change the language. Okay. And I have on Mr. Ed. Okay. Yeah, that seems very plausible. So what we want to do, is bring this on down. And then fill in the last of these words for whatever. So, Musikern is fine. Malbadog Torlan do we think that has a translation in German? It does not. It is the same text in all 3 languages. Convenient. Okay, in the butcher, Slacher? Near the butcher. Metzgers. Ooh. Okay, there you go. Same in all the languages, great. And Deleth Sather. Looks the same. Cool. So, that is a rough translation, using my very primitive knowledge of German, of these kind of handmade strings. Let's do the same for French. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so we want to go ahead and get a sense of what does this look like. So, give flyer to visiting hobbit, and we're going to go ahead. Oh, we have a French one already. Right. So, distribute leaflets to visiting hobbits. Awesome. Now, I'm going to say that we can kill the S on hobbits, and I think that is correct. Should we? Okay. So, the prospectus, hobbit, and visitor. Okay. So that is fine, I think. We have singularized hobbits. Oh. Let's see. Let's see if prospectus singular. The prospectus. In the prospectus. Okay. Nope. Gotta reverse those languages. So, distribute the leaflet to the visiting hobbit. Less? Nope. Okay. That seems like a good starting point. And then we want to go ahead and swap in the preposition and the target. Now, in more fluent languages, sometimes that preposition would move into the middle of the sentence. I'm fine with being a little bit wrong to have this consistency, where visually it's always the same and it's just the change is where. That's probably okay in German. I don't know about French at all, for emphasis and whatnot, but if you're a native German or French speaker and would like to correct that assumption, I am happy to hear it. So let's go ahead and get the rest of it. So, the musicians. Oh, near. Prez. Okay. Oh, pray. All right. Just for kicks. The butcher. Okay. All right. And we saw that the rest of these were the same name in all of them. Awesome. So, that is a rough French translation of the visuals. We can do whatever we want there. The real difficulty with these is making sure it's character for character accurate when we're doing quest or target detection. So, but it's nice to get the rest of these correct. Let's go ahead and move on. Now we can see promoting pi Kuchenwerbung has already been done because it was done before. So let's move on to flower envy. Okay, so we're in German, so that is Blumenneid. So we're going to go ahead and replace the full quote of flower. Not the full quote. We're going to go ahead and replace that with this. Oh, why not? Flower envy. And then the new quest, flower envy, completed flower envy. Okay, that is fine. And then let's come on over to the French and do the same. So we know that the French for this is envie de fleurs. So let's go ahead and do all of that. Okay. And we're just going to keep on going like that. When we're ready for a break, we could come on down and look for these strings. But remembering that we have Lua escaped strings, so what we're going to need is to go ahead and actually, that's a good question. What are... Alright, we'll just go ahead and see what's in here. Yeah, I didn't think so. Pick daffodils around Clegur. Let's go ahead and double check that. Okay. So we know that it should look like this. So we're going to go ahead and pluck those. We're in the German, great. And we're looking for this one. Now, especially with French, but any of these languages, they can use non-breaking spaces which aren't visible in the in a normal display like this generally. Sometimes it will go ahead and highlight them, but most modern text editors may call out that, hey, this looks like a space, but it's not a space. So watch out for that. Okay, daffodils planted. We want something similar. So let's search for that. We can see daffodils planted here. So we'll go ahead and pull the rest of them. And that's going to be something that looks like that. So we're in the German. And we'll come on over to the French and grab it as well. What are you up to, Casper? It's just attacking things. Okay. And then finally, banners placed. We can expect it's going to be pretty similar. Banners placed. Great. Find me that, please. Okay. Number planted banners for the German. And number of banners installed for the French. Cool. So we should be able to detect those three now. So I'm going to go ahead and go back through this. I'm just going to bit back and forth as I feel the need to keep on doing something new. Okay, so talk to this person for that quest. Now, we do have some predefined functions, and I want to double check that we're not missing out any of them. All right, so we have travel to whatever, turn in something to someone, turn in something to something, continue whatever, continue with quest, collect that from that, collect that, travel to that, collect that, take us from that. Okay. I would say no. So let's get a sense of what this looks like if Google Translate were to do it. So talk to X for Y. So in German, not to obtain, for objective that. Because Y? What does that look like? Hey, it's so much shorter. Where's Telerian when you need him to judge your German? Okay, we're going to use this format. I call that good enough. Speak with this person for quest whatever. Now, does German use quest? Probably not. Let's see where we can find that word being used, though. All right, so we have someone selling quest gear. Great. Apparently, that is not going to help me as much as I was hoping. Okay. Oh, great. Here's something that gives quest XP. Okay, so it should be this one. Aufgaben. Right. That sounds familiar. Okay, we're going to use Aufgabe. Okay, so that's fine. And then, do we have something similar, but for French as a starting point? Oh, I did just use the plural of Aufgabe, didn't I? Hilarious. Aufgabe, okay. For task one, there we go. Okay, gotta keep an eye out for that. Okay, now does that sound correct? Maybe. Let's come on down here. We can see, yep, that does look correct. So I think we can just take that as this. And we're doing speak with X for quest Y. Great. What we want to do then is come on down and for all of these talk tos, it's only a few. It's going to be what if Lush is going to be an X and Luminide is a Y, and we're done with that. And it actually happens twice. Okay. Fancy. The next one is here. So we're going to bring on down Glorin, and that's going to be Bluminide. And that's going to be the second half of this. Okay, awesome. The other half of this is the French. Let's come on up here. And we can go ahead and lift these whole lines now. Okay, we need a couple of these. A little bush. 4 meter rulers. And then Lauren. Great. So let's go ahead and replace this one. And then this one as well. And then finally, place the banner in front of the barn. That one might actually be in the language files. Let's take a look. Yep. So we're going to lift that out. So do X, then Y. What does that look like in German? Perform. All right. I think done, though, is going to be fine. Cool. So just out of curiosity, Google, do you think that's comprehensible? Understanding that that doesn't mean it is. There's about one from the then speak to the request of flower army. Great. Good enough for a first draft. Next up, French. What does that look like? Do X, then Y. All right. I think that's fine. So, need to place the banner in front of the barn. Garage. Now we're going to go ahead and see, does this look reasonable if we toss it back into Google Translate? Now, this isn't a sign that you have done it correctly, but if the output from Google Translate seems plausibly close to what you were aiming for, then maybe a native speaker of that language won't think it's too bad. Place the banner in front of the barn, then speak to Lauren for the quest. Want flowers. Really? Yeah, maybe. However, don't assume it's right. Assume it might be understandable, especially for longer phrases where the context of words that could have multiple translations is maybe slightly more likely to come across correctly. But I'm doing a lot of heavy lifting on the LOTRO files, having already translated this, hopefully correctly. Okay, so we're going to come on in to the game and make sure we don't go offline. Okay, cool. What's next? Collect the prize daffodil bulbs. Let's see if that's in there. It is. So we're going to go ahead and sammle them in German. And come on in here. Great. Let's see if Nafa Bloodvin is any different. In French, she is. But in German, looks the same. Okay. The musician's misfortune is the name of a quest that I did not correctly copy over here. Okay, so the Peck Musiker, okay. And lutenist is also one. But let's go ahead and do the replacement for the French as well for the name of the quest. In fact, while I'm here, I could go ahead and look for any other quests. All right, springtime's colors. And springtime color. Okay, what else has not been done from quest names? Stretch too thin. Zu weinig. Okay, that's that. Let's go look at the French for that. All right. Family feast. We can grab the name of that. Okay. All right, and then the last one, well-watered blooms. Cool. So that should be all the quests. When coming to completed, we can see that those look all fine as well. But, of course, new quest and completed are not correct for the target languages. So let's come on in to the German Yule. And we can say Neue Aufgabe. We're going to go ahead and replace new quest. Aufgabe. Okay. Does everything else look okay? It does. And abgeschlossen for finishing a quest. For completed. Everything else looks the same. New line, stuff, new line. Great. So we're going to go ahead and call that good. And then do the same for French. So let's come into French and open the Yule French as well. Come on in for a new quest, and notice that Visual Studio Code is highlighting that this is a space, but it's not the usual one. This is the character A0 instead of the normal space character. It is a non-breaking space. I assume there's a French rule that says there should be a space between the word and the colon, but that the colon should always be with the word and never wrap to a new line. And that's exactly what a non-breaking space is for. You know, the English and German systems of just attaching the colon to the word and then they don't get split up feels easier, but it's probably just because I'm used to it. So we're going to go ahead and copy that non-breaking space explicitly and bring it on over here for the new quest. So we're going to come on in here and go all the way through that space there. And we can see we have that now. And we also want the completed. To terminate, it also has that non-breaking space. I'm going to go all the way through the new line. And paste that in. Okay, so now we should be able to detect new quests and finished quests. Okay, great. So we're done with the Yule quest file, so we can come on back here. Okay, find the fiddle. And the French version, violon. Great. Let's go ahead and do find the bagpipes. Find the bagpipes. Or doodle sack in the German. Let's go ahead and find the flute, not to be confused with the F flute. All right, the flute. It's coming into the French. Now let's find the F-less lute. Okay. Last instrument, find the bodhran. Great. I think we're over halfway through these lines. They go a lot faster when I didn't have to make up new text, but it could just use the existing one. Let's find the lutenist. We're in French now, so that's going to be different. Okay, and coming back into the German, let's grab the Latinspieler. Great. Moving on. Hold on, Torlong we've already seen, so I think it's safe to pass on. Pick up the Daffodils banner. Alright, the German, name it off. And the French. Great. Place Daffodil Days banners. Right. This one's coming at us with a number count. We don't actually care about that for this though. So let's go ahead and place that to banners. The rest of the number gets appended by different code. Okay. We have a quest name. We have NPC. Let's go ahead and check this NPC name. Family name is different in French. Looks the same in German. All right.
Okay, I'm gonna show you something.
Rovendell wants to show me something. Oops.
So this is Whimsy Walk.
Yes, Rovendell is whimsy walking.
No, Whimsy running.
Whimsy running.
Yeah.
Okay, what are you holding?
I don't know. Nothing.
Is that your normal staff?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I'm the lore master.
What happens if you walk? it's the same weapon.
Yeah,
Nifty.
it's weird.
Exploring the Whimsy Walk.
But Whimsy Run shouldn't have this.
Well, log out, log back in, see if it still happens.
Oh, it does.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's possible they've updated it. I
I
mean,
think it's because it's a lore master.
yeah, well, you're the only... Lore Master is the only class that can use a staff. I wish I could.
Because my other elf doesn't do that.
Well, this is me walking with Whimsy, and I don't have a staff.
Oh. That's weird. You are on Whimsy?
Yeah.
Yay.
Oh, you're right. Different character.
Yay.
Sorry, that's a different minstrel. Let's come on into our emotes and do a quick search for Whimsy. Alright, so I'm now Whimsy. You're correct. Now I have the staff.
Yeah.
Different staff, though.
Yeah. Well, mine sparked. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Well, yours has your aura on it, presumably,
Yeah.
because it's your actual weapon. Mine's just a
That
cosmetic.
is my actual weapon.
Alright, neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just because you are a lore master.
I think so.
Okay, let's take a look. We just saw that Kunida is the same name in German, so we're going to go ahead and move on to picking up the packaged lamb meat. And then hopefully each one of these is just directly taken from the files so we can plop in the correct translation. Deliver lamb meat to Delith Sathur. It's in there. Now notice that in the German, we are seeing that period at the end of the sentence, not seeing it in English and French in this case. I don't like it being there in the quest guide, so consistently I'm truncating that manually. But it does need to be there if you're looking for exact matches. These just happen to be, I took it from the quest objectives and put it into the quick guide, so it doesn't matter. Okay. Alright, getting it to Loron. 2 more. Okay, I'm not seeing a direct match. Let's see if we can find it. Okay. Deliver limb meat to Mayor Mamadog Torlong. Alright, I guess we should update this. Limb meat to Mayor. And then Burgermeister. Alright, Burgermeister. And the French. Okay, and then finally, let's go ahead and this name definitely changes in the French. Okay, so that's all of the tooth and package drop-offs. We just need the end, but that's already translated, and that one is as well. So let's move on. Translate. Let's double check a Larry Grud. But I think since we've already had it, it's reasonable to assume that, yep, they're all the same. No changes needed. I wonder if I could change the size of this. Great. Okay. Find the water buckets near the pond. What do we have? Okay. Water the daffodils. Now, I think this is another one where I was creative. Oh, maybe not. I mean, let's go ahead and grab this. So, if we take this to Google Translate and say, hey, what's that say? Use it to water daffodils in Larry's garden. What are we looking at? Geese. Geese narcissum. Okay. Okay, so if we're trying to do water the daffodils in Larry's garden, I don't need in Clegur. So geese to narcissum. Okay, that's fine. And we can pull these straight from the language files, so we can be pretty reasonable about them. So we want to do the same transformation here, where we take the French and we say, what is this? Okay, we don't need that. You should take a bucket and Jimmy Neutron in chat says, I'm majoring in cybersecurity and took my first Python/coding course, and I'm so interested in what you're doing right now. Awesome. Well, right now, I feel like I'm doing more language stuff and less coding stuff. But that's the funny thing about doing software development is in a professional environment, you can spend a surprisingly small amount of time actually writing code and a lot of time doing other things to make the product happen. And so that's what's happening here was the effort of making this quick guide is kind of dwarfed by the effort of localizing it into French and German. And I am cheating. I have a lot of these already in the language files, and I just have to figure out which words I want to pluck out of there. It's much harder when you have to make sure your code can support arbitrary languages, but then you don't actually have the languages yet. So you just have to kind of be like, well, how long do we think this field's going to be? Yeah, Jimmy says, so you're attempting to make a quick guide into different languages? Yeah, the benefit of the quick guide for me in LOTRO is that it can detect when you complete quest objectives and automatically check things off the list so that you can see that it's happening out of the corner of your eye. You don't have to look at it. And then when you're like, oh man, I think I forgot something. What did I forget? It's probably the top thing in the list because you haven't checked it off yet and it hasn't checked itself off by you completing it. And so automatic detection only works in LOTRO if you can do one-for-one matching to text that's in the quest channel, usually, because our Lua plugins don't have access to the quest infrastructure in LOTRO. But we can see when you advance a quest, there's usually a little snippet in the quest channel. Well, Jimmy asks, why don't the devs think of these things? I think the devs do think of these things, but they made the choice long ago, those who were writing the LOTRO interface, to have a pretty constrained surface area for the plugins to interact with. And so other games, and I'm thinking of my very limited experience with World of Warcraft, there was a much more aggressive add-on there, not plugin, system where a friend slash acquaintance of mine in college was writing a plugin that you would open up the auction house and it would just go through every page of everything in the auction house and catalog what was there, what was the buyout price, what was or the buy it now price, what was the minimum bid price, and so you could get historical records of everything in the auction house. And that's just not something that you can do in Lord of the Rings Online. Lord of the Rings Online has an auction house, but the Lua plugins do not have any access to it. And so the plugins can't scrape all the information and post stuff for you and automatically buy out all the stuff that's below market rate and repost it at higher rates. But a World of Warcraft add-on could do most or all of those things. I don't know what the state of the add-on system now is, but back in early 2000s, that was definitely something they were doing, and you could just have it playing the auction house market for you. And Jimmy Neutron says, "Why haven't I been doing this for my account on Lotro? You've motivated me to do this for simplicity." Well, like I said, where add-ons in World of Warcraft have had access to the auction house and could interact with it and post things for you and have all that information. Unfortunately, LOTRO plugins don't have access to that. So while you could make a plugin that allows you to drag an item over and say what price you saw it, and it could save this off for future reference, it can't automatically scrape that information out of the auction house for you. And so it's just an example of a limitation where every game chooses how much of its surface to expose to plugins, and the LOTRO developers who made the initial LOTRO API chose a pretty small surface area for LOTRO plugins to be able to interact with. And one of the places we can't interact with much at all is the quest system. So when interacting with a quest causes a message to appear in the chat window, plugins can see that and can react to that. But that message, while usually fixed, is going to be different for each of the English, French, and German languages. So that's what we're doing now. Okay, so what I want to say is, hey, in French, what does it look like when I say water the daffodils? Okay, it looks like that. So I'm going to paste this here for a minute. So water the daffodils looks like that. We want it to be water the daffodils near the beehives. Oh, actually, by the quest giver's house. So we're going to come back in here and say, okay, we have this French. So, Sarah. Say, and I don't need the in Clegur. Water the daffodils in Larry's garden. That seems great. Do I mean Aracer? I don't. I don't think. Well, it was this in the original. That's fine. It's fine. Turtle Boy in the Twitch chat says, "Quick, Lotro or Lord of the Rings trivia. What is Sauron's name before he was corrupted by Morgoth?" I have a feeling I would recognize it if I saw it, but I don't think I know it off the top of my head. There are two different answers that have been posted in chat. One of them is about my French question. Thank you, Swagger67. And the other is an answer by Jimmy Neutron. Well, Swagger67, if you have any knowledge of French, then you're doing better than I am. But we're going to go ahead and do this. Water the daffodils near... Okay. And in fact, we can take that for the English as well. Water the daffodils in Larry's yard. Let's go ahead and backport that into the English strings so that we have some consistency there. So water the daffodils near the house, Water the daffodils in Larry's yard. Great. Jimmy's answer of Myron was deemed correct. Excellent. Okay, so we have done the first of these. The rest of them should be much more straightforward now that we have a framework to work with. So, the pond across from our smile and find a bucket to use. Okay, you should get another bucket and water the daffodils next to the beehives. We're going to go ahead and import that in for the English. Water the daffodils next to the beehives. And then we want to do the same for the other languages now. Cool. Oh, I kind of like near the butcher shop. We're going to take that in. Next to the beehives near the butcher shop. Okay, so we have the next one, and we know in the German we're looking for something that looks like this. So let's take a look in here. Okay, so we want most of that, probably, except we don't want in Clegur. That's hilarious. I'm backwards. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and water the daffodils next to the beehives near the butcher shop. Perfect. Okay. Oh, Snafutu has to go. Later, Snafutu. Thanks for being here. Okay. Now, I noticed that I have been streaming for almost 2 hours here. We're making really good progress. I'd love to finish this, but if we get to a reasonable stopping point, then I may go ahead and finish this offline, off stream, and then go ahead and post this update. Either way, I definitely want to be out before the weekend because we have stuff to do during the weekend. I'm not going to make any progress then. But I'd love other people to be able to have a chance to use this. The main sticking point is, of course, testing this, especially the stuff down below, which is all the in-game recognition of what we're doing. And for that, because they're all perfect matches for strings in-game, that should be very easy. We're not going to do any string construction like we're doing right now, possibly badly. Okay, so let's go into the French version of this. Whoops. And in the French version, we know that we're looking for this basic format. Let's take a look. Okay. Great. That all looks awesome, except we're going to capitalize that and get rid of near the beehives in Clegur. Cool. Good enough. And then we can go on to the next one. The next one should be near the stable master. Near the stable master, there we go. Let's go ahead and find that. And we can see that water the daffodils near the stable master across from the boat and basket. That does not feel like useful addition. If you don't know where the stable master in Clegur is, you shouldn't be doing this quest. Oh, that's gatekeeping, but you know what I mean. Like I feel like that's definitely putting the cart before the horse to not know where the stable master is. But we're going to go ahead and near the stable master in Clegur. Yep. So this German, we're going to come in and look for Geest. Okay. Beim Stallmeister. Yeah. Okay. Geest. And if we go ahead and ask Google a rough translation of this, what are the daffodils at the stable master? Yeah, okay. Same thing. Let's go into the French. And we know we're looking for... Okay. It says okay. So capital A. Perfect. So we're now looking for Della Sather's smile. So we've got that string. Let's get all the variations of that. Awesome. First of all, how's the English? Water the daffodils in front of Della's. That's great. Between the river and extra space, the boat and basket in Clegur. No, thank you. But let's come on in here. Geest, Narcisson, vor dat. Yep. Lovely. What we're seeing is a lot of the same Geest de Narcisson and then extra stuff. And so we can be confident that we're saying the same thing with different add-ons, hopefully. Okay, coming back in. The French, the smile is that. Okay, great. Well, one of these days in my copious spare time, I should take a French class. Catch up to Little Redhead's knowledge. Well, Little Redhead is claiming she's forgotten a lot of what she knew, but I bet she'd pick it up faster than I would if we went back for a class. A friend's doing Duolingo Japanese, and it was fun to see how much of it I was like, oh, yeah, that's... I know what that word is. I know what that sentence means, even though it's been years since I did any sort of a Japanese class. Not that I was ever super good or anything, but, I could make sentences. Okay, water the daffodils located behind the oven. Great. All right, I feel like there's some sort of pun or play on words to be had with the French word for oven being four. Swagger says, what is the smile? Do you mean in general what is the smile, or which smile they're referring to here? I can answer either of those, but it's good to know what you're talking about. But in general, yeah, a smile is a Hobbit construction. And I think is it just a Hobbit hole, or does smile have a different thing? Because the smiles are mostly used when you're talking about Buckland? One of those. Yeah. Oh man, this character hasn't been anywhere.
It just says Hobbit hole dug into the...
Okay, so yeah, smile is a Hobbit hole. Great. Mostly used to think of them in Tookland, the Great Smile. And the smile they're specifically talking about is just east of the Stable Master. As I was mentioning earlier, I forgot to set a milestone. That's okay, I forgot to do whatever I was doing there too. Clegur? No. Mossword? Yes. Oh, okay. So I said, sorry, I'm French, but I don't understand the smile. No worries.
burrow.
Yeah, so a burrow, a hole in the ground that hobbits live in. It's the technical word for a hobbit hole. And so we want to get over to Clegur. And so Bag End, Bilbo Baggins, and later Frodo Baggins' home could probably be described as a smile because the majority of it is buried into the hill and not visible. So it is a hobbit hole, and smile, S-M-I-A-L, is, I'm pretty sure, just the word for that. So as we're coming on in here, we are riding up here to the Stable Master. And as we're riding around Clegur, we can see various hobbit homes. And the specific one that is talking about is this hobbit home here, where there is a portion of it that is outside of the hill here. There are some windows, there's a chimney, but it is assumed that more of it exists under the hill. And in fact, we can see some of it right here, or some of a smile. it is quite likely that that and this building are connected inside of the hill. And so that's what we're talking about with a smile, is a hobbit hole that's predominantly built into a hill. There are hobbit homes that are freestanding structures, just like the men of the world build, but that would be a hobbit house, perhaps. So I think this, correct me if I'm wrong, anyone who knows better, would not be a smile because it is predominantly not built into a hill. Just more of a freestanding structure. And that barn definitely is not a smile. Cool. Thanks for the question. Don't worry. I totally get when another language has a word and you're like, I don't know what that means. I get it all the time in Dutch, which I'm trying to learn and failing. Okay, so we have a French. Did we get the French? Yes. Okay. Okay, Swagger says that makes sense. Okay, great. So we're going to come in and find the German for... Oh, not that one. The German for the oven. Geest, hinter, den, offen. Okay, great. I have a slightly easier time doing this kind of thing with German because of... I'll more often see the connections between the German words and the English or Dutch words that I know. Certainly there's a lot of overlap with French words as well, as they got imported and sloshed around and English adapted them. But hinter, the hinterlands, that connects on a different level. Little Redhead invites Swagger to stick around and help edit my French for the plugin. Certainly, if you have the time and energy, it would be welcome. Okay, so we have finished those quest objectives. We can see quest name and NPC name has been translated. Let's double check Rosentalen Flutch. That seems like... Nope, they're all the same. Okay. Collect a package of lamb meat. We're on German now. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and paste that in. Collect a package of lamb meat becomes this. Now, of course, I've heard from people that the German and French translations are sometimes a little lacking. So that is a double-edged sword of being able to pull the translations from the game. Doesn't always ensure you are using a good translation, but it's at least authoritative. I hope it's a reasonable experience for those people who really like playing in their native language. I actually would like the other. I would love to have a version of this in Dutch because I think it would really help my Dutch language acquisition. But that is not something they are likely to do, ever. That's very sad. Oh, man, the word for carrot and potato is so close in the German. Otten and Offeln? Oh, man. But that's fine. Let's go ahead and just assume that that was... nope, that's a literal objective. Talk to Borthold Bishel, the provisioner's assistant. All right. So you do that. And the French. Parlez. Okay. Okay, collect leaks. Semelt lock. Okay, and finally, we are done. So all the stuff we're displaying on the screen, we now have passable, at least, translations for both German and French. The rest of this is pattern matching, where we have to match identically what's in the game, so there's no more decisions to be made. We just find the string and we translate it. We've already done all of our progression for incremental ones, 1 out of 8, 2 out of 8, 3 out of 8. We've already done all of the new quests completed, so we only have a couple more things. So the daffodils picked, we've already seen, nope, wrong window. We've already seen where this is a more complicated string in the data files, but it's going to look something like this. So in the German, we can go ahead and pull out this, and in the French, I can pull out that. Fantastic. And it's going to be the same thing here. For any of these incremental ones, we're going to pull out everything except that incremental part and use that. Okay, we're in the French. And then back to the German. Now the next one, flyers handed out. We are tracking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 so that we can act as if we can recognize which of the hobbits you are interacting with to give those flyers. But it's a lie. Under the covers, we just see that you've completed it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you do it in a different order, it will look as if Festival Buddy doesn't know what's going on, because Festival Buddy doesn't know what's going on. It doesn't know which hobbit you're talking to. They all have the same visiting hobbit name, so we can't tell based on which one you're targeting. So we're just, it's the shrug emoji in plugin form. So let's go ahead and grab this. The good news is it's going to be the same text for each one of these. So we can just do a little multi-edit and replace that. Good enough. Let's go ahead and do the French while we're at it. We've got that. So we go ahead and select that. And we're done. And that we can move on. So, prized daffodil bulbs collected! Exclamation point! Gotta actually press copy. Alright, notice that we have a space here between the last word and the punctuation. We've seen this before, where French seems to have spaces where English and German would not. So we do want to make sure we get all of that, and wouldn't be surprised if we had a non-breaking space. We do have a non-breaking space. Visual Studio Code is highlighting that with a little box. Perfect. The safest thing would be to go ahead and copy the quotes out of here as well, except I know that I programmatically made those quotes appear. They're not a part of that string. I'm quoting, string, end quoting. So they cannot be anything other than what I expect. So in this case, it's fine to not. All right, batter's placed. Let's go ahead and grab all of those. And we're in the German, so we're going to go ahead and pull that. And again, place it on top of here. And coming in for this. Great. The fiddle has been found. So a very specific announcement when you interact with that. The bagpipes have been found. Or the doodle sack in the German. Or cornemuse. Okay. F-lute. All right. Then the no F-lute. There's got to be a joke in there about why don't lutes have play any Fs, because then they'd be flutes. All right, the lute has been found, and then the bodhran has been found. Great. Okay, the next 6 are really straightforward because they're all variations on the theme. So let's get that packages delivered text. Okay, gonna do that. And again, we're just gonna do a multi-select here and paste them all in together. No need to do that one at a time. And then same thing in the French. Multi-select and paste. Cool. Almost done with this. So lamb meat collected. Lamb Fleisch gesammelt. Okay. And okay. Carrots collected. And Karten gesammelt. Potatoes. Okay, leeks collected. Water buckets found. Wassereimer gevonden. Again, a non-breaking space in the origin, so we want to make sure it shows up that way. And finally, watered. So, another non-breaking space. Okay, and Gokosen. Cool. That's the end of that. This name is an internal thing for diagnostics. I needed to print out and know which one I was evaluating. The name itself, in fact, I could say in the English, name is only used for debugging purposes. Cool. So the last thing are the targets, and these are just those names of NPCs or other things. And so we can see that Flush is different in the French. That's interesting. I'm pretty sure we pulled those. Maybe we didn't pull. Anyway. Okay. Package lamb is a thing that you can target, so I'm really hoping that's exposed in this file. Great. All right, and in the German, all right, Gloron, I think was the same in English and German, but in French. Okay, awesome. Borthel Bischel is the same in French and in English and German, but not in French. All right, Daffodil Day Banners. Wow, that French one is way longer. Fortunately, that doesn't matter here. All right, so that was all of them because the last ones are repeats. So in theory, we should be able to take this and run a quick German and quick French and be able to spot any problems. So let's do that. Now, the first step is remembering to patch the client before you start streaming in each of the languages you're going to play. Having not done that, let's go ahead and patch the client in each of the languages now. So, gave it a moment while it was exiting out, and then coming back in. Do I want to allow it to make changes? I sure do. Let's go ahead and minimize some stuff here. Okay, so Let's switch over to German and make sure everything's okay. And we'll do French while we're at it. Now, I'm going to do the German first because I'm more likely to know what's gone wrong if something goes wrong. Great. So everything's patched and up to date. So we're going to come in and spielen. And sure, I totally agree with all of that text. I definitely know how to read. Okay, so Apple is done. So can mark that off on my list. So the next one I'm interested in progressing is Yachris. So let's go ahead and pull her up. She's my highest level hunter, and feels like having a high level hunter is reasonable. So what we're going to do is we're going to log in and make sure our list is reset by clicking that button at the bottom. I guess first we're going to see if the plugin loads at all. Perhaps there's a error that we have made that will stop it from loading that wasn't seen because we weren't loading the French or German files. So that's the first thing is, does the plugin load? The plugin loads. Excellent. So let's come on into the quick guide. And let's see. Go ahead and pull that up. I'm clicking the reset button. Nothing seems to have needed to reset. Awesome. So let me just reset this alarm because I can't have that beeping again. Okay. So take and hatch from Furling. Let's do that. So ideally, it's going to complete. It completed. Great. So we're going to do this a little bit slower than I did in the English because I want to make sure everything does properly progress the list there. So we'll do the daily. Okay. And the next one. These should all be fine. Everything should be fine, but we're gonna see. All right. Yep. The first one there is fine. This will say that was supposed to advance our count 1 of 8 there. Let's go take a look at the quick guide here. Oh, we are in the French. That's not going to help. Okay. This one is not right. Why isn't it right? Why would you do that? Daffodils picked. Okay. So it should be that. Now, we're going to go ahead and do a... Oh, we're not going to do slash plugins. We're going to come in the plugin manager, unload that, and reload that. And that will have saved our progress so far. So let's go ahead and pick up this. That's great. Let's go ahead and grab another Narcissa. And we can see that's been properly updated to 2 out of 8 there, so that string is now correct. All right, coming up the hill here, same basic track as we were going before. I could be mounted up. In fact, I could also be Wegfinden. Okay, so we know we want to take the quest from the mayor. Great. We know we want to find the fiddle. That did not work. All right, let's take a look at that. Die Fiddle Verda gefunden. Stupid periods. So Swagger has a question. What am I doing? So I do not work for Standing Stone Games, and I can't answer any questions specifically, though I do have guesses. What I'm doing is making sure that my quick guide for Festival Buddy correctly identifies when I have done a thing, and it's doing it by an exact string match. So Die Fiddle wurde gefunden has a period at the end of it, which I unconsciously did not include. And so it was not a perfect match, so it didn't notice that this happened. But why you sometimes find quests in English. The developers of Lord of the Rings Online, I think in general, speak English as their native tongue, their mother tongue, moedertaal in Nederlands. And English is going to be the language of the company. They have people who then take whatever is written and then translate it into German and French. Those are the other two supported languages. And so the two main reasons would be something is very new, and so it's still filtering through the process of getting translated. And so if you're playing brand new content, you're more likely to find something that has not been translated yet, but it is coming. Or it's always possible that there's an oversight, like something's older, but it didn't get translated for some reason. But they have been pretty good about that, I think, about bringing out those translations. So that's usually just you're playing something that's very new, and they had a choice between either delaying the release for everyone until a French or a German translation came in, or releasing it now for everyone, knowing that that experience for French or German players might be a little less nice because they might encounter some of that English stuff. I think if you're SSG, you have the statistics of when they release new stuff, how many of their players attack it right away, or how many of them will trickle in over the next week or month. And so they probably use that to kind of base their opinion on, yes, this is not ideal. We would like to have everything translated for French and German right out of the gate, but maybe only 10% of the French players are likely to even see this before we do release the full translation. So they might have that kind of a thought process going on. But like I said, I don't speak for SSG. I don't work for them. I don't have any insider knowledge. But based off of my experience in software engineering for unrelated companies, that can be a thought process of, is it worth delaying everyone in order for this small subset of the users to have a complete experience, or do we put it out there in its current state, knowing that we're going to be sliding those translations in as fast as we can get them? But this game is like multiple books of text, and so whenever they release a new area, a new expansion, or whatever, just so much text. MMOs, massively multiplayer online games, are descended from mushes, which were all textual, mushes and muds, 30 years ago. This is just a bunch of text with some graphics added on. And so the game is text. There's so much of it, and the translators only have so many hours in a day to translate all the stuff. So that's where they're at. So I don't know if that specifically answers your question, but yeah, as Little Redhead points out in chat, if you encounter a quest that's not a super new quest in like the brand new area, if you encounter a quest that you think should be translated to French and is not, that's always worth submitting a ticket. But if it's something that's very new, if it came out in the last month, I think SSG probably knows about it. You can submit a ticket anyway. That will tell them how important it is to you. But they probably know about it, and it's probably coming. So hopefully that gives you a little bit more in context. Okay, I'm going to assume that I messed up a number of these. So I'm going to be looking in the German for any periods that maybe I should have kept. As I just scroll up here. Oh, I accidentally hit a blank. All right. Well, I know I'm going to have missed these out. Yep. Okay. So period there. Period there. Can't believe I was not including those. Period there. So all of those German ones should have it. Okay, that one's fine. No, actually, some won't. Let's just go ahead and go into the German here. That's fine. Carrots, potatoes, all of that. Oh my goodness, you're German. Okay, then I think we are caught up. Let's go ahead and, oops. Oh my goodness. Let's go in here and unload and reload. Great. So, find the fiddle. I did find the fiddle. If it is possible, I would love to simulate having found the fiddle. Let's come on into here. So quest objective. So we want to come into the fiddle gefunden, and we're going to go ahead and paste that in here. Objective. Cool. That worked. So, tell the second hobbit. That works. Grab another Narcissan. And we're going to come over to those banners. Now this should happen whenever I target it. It did. Okay. Oh, that's a good place for a banner. Now we can see that banners now have 1 out of 6. Let's go ahead and look out for that to change while we're looking at it. Banner 2 out of 6. So that's going great. Let's go ahead and pick up this quest. Okay. Talk with this one. And we want our last Narcissan. Narcissan. Alright. We can go ahead and use this planter. Another good place for a banner. Another planter. Now, it's German, so I can't read it necessarily, but we can look at the level. This one's 7, the other was my level. So we're good. Do not want escape. To close that. Thank you. Okay, so we need to find the boat around, but we're going to drop down and get this planter first. And we can see planters should be progressing. Yep, we're at 3 of 8. Let me look at it this time and make sure that it is progressing. 4 out of 8, perfect. Okay, so Canetta, family faced mall. Zuweinig. Okay, we're going to come here and get this. Great, and the next one auto does when we look at it. Awesome. All right, next hobby guest. Excuse me. Oh, I think when I logged off, my audio went off. There we go. I like this music too much to play without it. Alright, another banner. So we're going to come on in here and bring the package for Zuvanik. Okay. Take the quest. Yep, that's good. We'll do the planter. Talk to the hobbit. Yep. Find the Wasserreimer.
Talk to the hobbit.
Indeed. Alright, I have found the Wasserreimer. Now, There's no quest progression when we pick up a bucket, but there's a quest progression of watered whenever we do a watering. So we're going to look out for that. Great, we got the garden. Next one, we're going to go next to the beehives. And again, we'll queue up here. Okay, we're the only ones here. To the beehives. Now you can talk to this hobbit at this point, but I like to just throw the water and run. And a Lamote throwing the water a good way way back here, but that's fine. We're going to do the daffodils near the stable master now. Stallmeister. Looking out for good places for a banner on the way. I'm not actually seeing one. I do see this planter here on the right, though. Now, there is a good place for a banner over there. We can catch that on the way over. Alright, we're a little bit behind on banners here. Normally, my runs, I'm done with them at this point, but I'm only at 4 out of 6. That's okay. They're all over. Oh, yeah. I like that cloak. I like it better on a hobbit, but mostly it's because I've seen it a lot on a hobbit. Alright, so we're going to the Smile, as we heard before, the Hobbit Hole of Delith Sathers. And it looks like it's Smile in the French language translations as well. Alright, you can toss it over the fence here. It's also a good place for a banner, though, so I'm going to cross over here. We're at 5 out of 6 there. Awesome. 1 doodle suck. Alright, that automatically completed. Planter, so that's 7 of 8. Progressing Zuvinic. Great. Hobbit. Awesome. No places for a banner down here. Okay. So. Zuvinic. Now, can I jump over? I can. Great. Alright, so that was the last planter. Awesome. Here's the flute. Great. We're still looking for a banner location. That's okay. We're going to go back to the watering location. And we can see... Yeah, there's a place for a banner right here. We'll go ahead and do that. Alright, so that was all of those banners. Now there's one more banner we have to do, but it's part of a separate quest for Flower Envy. So we can see there's 3 people lined up ahead of us. So we're going to wait for our turn. Great. Oh, I can't slash wave because that's a English emote. Oh well. So we're going to the oven. Fastest way seems to be going around the hill to the left here. Get some practice in to go over those fences though. Easy to get caught on them. So going over here. Because it's a straight shot to the point that you're closest to the daffodils and you can throw the water. Dr. Glorian, great. Several of those don't have any quest progression. That's okay. That one did. That one did. Awesome. We're done with the planters, but we do know the loot is back here. Okay. We're going to go ahead and give the instruments back to the musicians now. So we're heading back to the center of town. We'll only come out to the oven area once more. Now, we don't get any quest progression as we're turning the instruments in, but that all happens right around the place where you turn the quest in. So I think that's fine. Okay, that one worked. Oh, talk to the assistant. Grab the leeks. Mount back up because we want to go up to the mayor. Hello, Cloudberry. There's a moon is playing. Cloudberry. Talking to the mayor. Uh, we're going to go ahead and do his last as a little shortcut. Okay. And then we need to place the banner that the mayor has given us on the barn, so the farmer will give us his secret. Okay. Um, Turning in the watering the flowers. Coming on up. Unfortunately, there's a bit of a ledge here, and I don't know how to get up here without cutting back on the road a little bit. Like, that feels like a drop-off that I haven't conquered yet. That's okay. We're going to turn these in. We're going to grab the bulbs. Great. We're going to turn that in. Okay. Go turn in the family feast. After that, the butcher. Okay. And since this is all quest turn-ins, and those are very formulaic in how you write them in, I'm not expecting any of these to fail. All right. In fact, at this point, we're just going back to the center of the town for the two across the street from each other. So promoting pies. 1 and 2. There we go. And then we only have 8 out of 10, so we can't actually turn this last one in, but I'm pretty confident it would autocomplete. So we found a couple of problems with our German files, but as we fixed them, we saw everything else worked just fine. Great. So we're going to go ahead and toss that pie into shared storage, as one does. And we're going to go ahead and exit the game and come back in with the next character. And that one will be in French. I'm giving it just a couple of seconds to finish exiting completely, because otherwise if it's still reading the preference files when the new launcher tries to read them, it'll be like, I can't read them. They've been opened by someone else, and so it'll start from scratch and overwrite all my preference files, and I don't like that. Sure, patch. Pretty sure I already had you do that. Okay, and I wanted to autofill in my password and username, so when it escalates to admin to do the patching, it loses those command line parameters, but you can just close it and come back in, and it's fine. Sure, I totally agree to the French terms and services. Okay, so we're going to come back in. Are we in the French? We are in the French. Okay. Little Redhead says, great queuing on Peregrine tonight. Yeah, I like it when people know what they're supposed to do and do it in order to have a nicer social experience for everyone. Like, we're all in this together, we're all watering daffodils, there's no hurry. I appreciate that. Although sometimes if I'm trying to run 10 characters through a festival, it's like, there's absolutely a hurry, I gotta go! But, yeah, that's a me problem, not a them problem. Okay, we're going to bring in my Guardian Schildwacht, and Schildwacht's going to do this in French. Ideally, we're going to see the same thing. Everything just checks off as we are doing it. But just like with German, if we need to pause a moment, fix something, come back in, we'll have that option. Okay, so first of all, let's make sure Escape Key does not close those windows. Let's open up the quick guide, and really? Fine. I'll take my ancient script and I'll like it. Okay. So, we're going to go ahead and, again, make sure this has been reset since I was fiddling with everything. And we're going to go ahead and come on over here. Now, we already have the quest it wants me to pick up. We're at 8 out of 10. I'll just mark that as complete. The rest of these should be no problem. So we picked that up. The clock is ticking. Picked up the next one. Picked up the third one. Turn around and talk to a hobbit. It worked. Pick up the musician quest. Grab a daffodil and see that it progresses. It did not. Okay. Let's go ahead and copy that out and come on over to the French. And we're going to look for the incremental ones here. And we're looking at... Oh, yeah. Okay, I did the same mistake for both of these, apparently. That's no surprise then. So we're going to go ahead and use the caret menu to come into our plugins, unload and reload. And we're going to go ahead and keep going. So this daffodil we should see go to 2 of 8. Yep, now it's 2 of 8. This one should be 3. Alright, we're back on track. That was our glitch for the mission. Oh, I could be mounted up. Let's do that. On my lovely camel. Okay, so jumping on over, the next thing is going to take the colors. That worked. Violin. Yep. Talk to the hobbit. Grab the daffodil. Coming back and grab the banners. This should complete when I target it. It does. This spot is available right now, so let's grab it. Alright, continuing the quest, grabbing the daffodil. Oh, place for a banner also. Progress this quest, and then we want to finish our daffodils. So we've done that one, which means this pot is also available. We should be able to mount up, right? No, the pot's going to dismount us, and the banner spot for that matter. That was too optimistic on my part. All right, go ahead and pick up the Festin Famille, and drop on down for the Bodrun and the Planter. Okay, so we should be able to see the planters are advancing. Bodrun's fine. So let's go ahead and make sure that the planters are properly detecting. Yep, that's 4 of 8, so we're good there. And we can see that the banners are already at 3 of 6, so that's almost certainly working as expected. All right, so we want that one. As an advantage of a quick guide is it does tell you what you're supposed to be getting. Okay, both of those worked as expected. Let's go talk to a hobbit. Okay. Another banner, we should see 4 out of 6. We do. Awesome.
Hello there. Always more work that needs doing.
Lovely. Okay, so we need to find the buckets. We did. We need to pick up a bucket and use it. So, next one we need to water the ones by the beehive. Great. Rosa. Okay, so don't suppose I can activate that after I pick up the bucket? Nope. Okay, so we're keeping an eye out on this path for any more places to plant a banner. We still need to plant 2 more of them. We can see one of them is right next to that pot, so that's great. We'll go ahead and get both of these together. And there's another one over in that direction. That's fine. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and activate my running first, just for why not. It doesn't last very long, I'm afraid. Ah, well. So this is going near the smile. Let's cut cross country this time. And we can see there's a banner there, but there's a banner right next to where I'm supposed to water. That'll be great. So that's done. Let's go ahead and get the bagpipes. Yep. That pot, and then mounting up while we're talking to Delith. Alright, let's talk to a hobbit. Let's go find the violin? No, deliver meat. That's a flute down here. Okay. That's number 8 of those. Here's our flute. I have trouble getting out of here, especially when mounted, so I'd make sure I do that first and then get mounted up. Alright, we need to go ahead and water by the oven. So we're going to cut cross country to get back to the watering spot. Okay, getting over to the oven, fastest way for me, as I mentioned, coming around this way. And then go ahead and run straight at the oven from here. Jump over that fence. The flowers will resolve, and we're going to clip the fence right next to them. And then come on over to Glorin. Grab our carrots and potatoes. And then come on back and get the loot. Now we've got all the instruments. Let's turn those in and go get our leeks from the market in the center of town. Alright, once again, we can't detect that we've talked to the different musicians. We can only detect that we've turned the quest in, but because it's right here, I didn't think it was worth doing anything more complicated than that. So, talk to the provisioner, grab the leeks. Don't talk to the mission giver. I kind of wish that he wasn't here in the middle of town or something, but it's okay. We're coming up to the mayor for a couple of quests here. We're saying hi to Adamantia. Okay, we've turned those in. I would cheer at you, but I don't know the French for that. And we're going to come back and place that banner up by the barn. So far, everything's been going great on our completion here, except for that one mishap. Alright, now we can't detect that the barns happened other than detecting that it's a good place for a banner, but all of the places for banners are good places for a banner, so we can't distinguish among them, and I don't like that, but it is what it is. Oh yeah, we want to come down here and drop off the Watering the Daffodils quest. Great. And then we need to get up to there. So we come around these rocks and then go overland. Alright, that one completes. That one completes. That one completes. That one completes. Oops, we ran too fast. And the rest of these are just quest completions. These should all be very formulaic, and I'm not expecting, hey, Dementia, I'm not expecting any other problems here. Okay, don't do that one. That's the low level one. So we've got 4 quests left. 3 of them are that center of town duo. One for the promoting pies and the other 2 across the way. And then the wrapper quest as well. So that's it. That's the entire quick guide in English, French, and German. Seems to work great. Probably do it one more time in English, probably do that off stream, but that's where we are on the quick guide. So reset works just fine. And I don't think I have French translations for most of these quests. Oh, I did do a little bit of that. Excellent. So some of these may have it, some of them may not, depending on what was available to me at the time. But yeah, that's where we're at. Awesome. So, very happy with the state of that. I'm going to close all that down. Now, what does our working directory look like? It's a mess. I've gone ahead and added in Bee's Big Business map, Family Feast, Flower Envy, Promoting Pie, Springtime Colors, Stretch Too Thin, The Gift of Spring, Musician's Misfortune, and Well-Water Bloom. So there's a little helper for all of those to show you where the different quest objectives are if you're at all confused about that. Oh yeah, a little thing. When you're in the barter window, we've gone ahead and finished that off. Man, what's the barter window? Yeah, okay. And I wanted to know, just, when I'm scrolling through this, if I click on something, I want to know that I clicked on it. So I went ahead and added a little handler for the selection changed to take care of that. And for that, it was easiest to have a different background that we could change that to. So, lots of source file changes. We moved around some turbine files. We have these quick guide changes for all of these, cleaning up some of the other ones while I'm at it. New helper functions, all of that, and then more changes in other places. Some of them are not relevant, and some of them are. So lots of stuff to commit. Obviously, that's going to take me a few minutes, and I won't bother to do that on stream. So, hello, Adamentia.
So look, I've got the whimsy emote on and I'm carrying something.
Adamentia has the whimsy emote on and is carrying something, but is Adamentia walking?
No, running. Hang on, I'll get to another one. The bucket, or I'm carrying the bucket. That is a funny little dance.
Alright, we're going to watch Adamentia carrying a bucket.
Okay. So hang on, there's a cue.
That is a wild cue. Okay, while Adamentia is getting a bucket, I'm going to go ahead and say I think there weren't any last minute questions, comments, concerns coming into chat. So once we see Adamentia moving with this bucket, we're going to go ahead and bring the stream to a close. Oh, the lantern just came on. That's fun.
See? Funny little dance.
You are definitely trying to do whimsy with that bucket.
Ready? It's great, isn't it? That's fantastic.
Excellent. Okay. Alright. Just checking things. Alright, that is everything we're going to cover today. Thank you so much for joining me on this exploration of LOTRO plugins. Keep an eye out for an update to Festival Buddy that includes all this new spring stuff, if that is of interest with you, to you. I hope to see you all here next time. It should be 2 weeks from now. I'm out next week, and until then, keep plugged along. Alright, bye-bye now.